Us. So Charles and I just finished diving in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was St. Thomas. We went to, what were the names of the two places?
Buck Island. It was inside Shipwreck Cove.
And inside of Shipwreck Cove. It was fantastic. We've got some great footage. I am absolutely thrilled at what we did today. Awesome. But let's back it up a little bit. We woke up to day 8 on the Norwegian Sky, and the scenery was serene, calm, and peaceful. We were both super excited because scuba was exactly what we'd been looking forward to all week. I'm pleased to say the day did not disappoint. We were scheduled to go out with Underwater Adventures, and their crew was fantastic. We knew it was going to be super fun from the safety briefing.
If you don't have air underwater, then please do not try and continue that dive. It's going to go real wrong real quick. So,
our first dive site was Buck Island. It was a max of 65 feet, but I don't think we got down much below 60. The water was beautiful when we entered, but it became a little more interesting once Captain Ted threw in 2 pretzels and we got besieged by fish. It was gorgeous. Quick comment about Charles's awesome swim trunks. They were the only ones on the entire island in his size, and the fish loved them. Charles and I began our descent, and we knew it was going to be a good dive. I absolutely enjoyed this. It was easy, breezy, and we just had a lot of fun getting to know our group underwater. If I'm going to spend 15 minutes following a fish, I'm going to name him. This one was Reginald. I think it's a pretty well-established fact that a great dive master can totally make a dive. And Shelby was no other way around it. I admired her energy and her excitement for everything she showed us. As Dive 1 drew to a close, we got back on the boat and got our water, apples, and everything we'd need to re-energize. And then Shelby started telling us a great story.
So they ended up submerging the entire ship, which landed right on top of the Senora Cartanza, which made it an even better wreck site for divers because now they had 2 wrecks to dive. Fast forward a couple more years, cruise ships start getting bigger and bigger, which brings the Army Corps of Engineers into town. They had to figure out what to do with this wreck. Can you guess what they wanted to do? Blow it up! They wanted to blow it up.
Our second dive would take place in Shipwreck Cove. I'm about to read to you a little of the Senora Cartanza from the News of St. John website. I've placed a link in the description of this video. The Cartanza Senora was a former World War II freighter, and it was transformed into one of the most popular diving sites in the Caribbean. Resting in about 45 feet of water off the coast of Buck Island in what they call Shipwreck Cove. This maritime relic served as a sanctuary for vibrant fish, colorful coral, and the occasional sea turtle or octopus. It's also an ideal diving spot for adventure enthusiasts. Broken into 3 pieces, the haunting vessel tells a tale that began about 80 years ago. First, the Senora Cartanza was a World War II freighter. It measured about 190 feet, transported goods across the Atlantic, and after a war, it was outfitted as an agricultural cargo ship and went to South America and the Caribbean islands a lot. The crew of the Cartanza, rumor has it, began to export in the 1970s things that weren't exactly agricultural additions, nor were they exactly legal. But near the end of the decade, the captain and the crew scuttled the ship. They were afraid the Coast Guard had caught wind of the nefarious activity. There isn't much online to back up the claim, but from what the author could find, it seemed like the crew had been tipped off they were about to be boarded. So they abandoned ship, took the cargo with them, and scuttled. The abandoned freighter was a navigational hazard for cruise ships coming into St. Thomas, so the Army Corps of Engineers were brought in. This is where you heard Shelby's part of the story. Their goal was to blow it up. Leave it to the Army Corps of Engineers. But the divers had other ideas. It had become an ideal spot, and the divers protected the area. Ever since Charles took me to Hawaii for our honeymoon and I dove my first wreck about 95 feet down, I have been in love with exploring shipwrecks. And I am grateful that the dive community came together and valued and protected this spot. It was so worth it. I just fell in love with this site as well. Scuba diving always has happiness. Both Charles and I agree on that. But at the end of every dive, while we feel satisfied, there's also a sadness that it's ending. So we got back on the dive boat and headed back to the port so that we could reboard the Norwegian Sky. Both of us enjoyed this one tremendously. And so we say goodbye to St. Thomas Virgin Islands, but we leave with a lot of great memories. Special shout out to Underwater Adventures. Captain Ted, Dive Master Shelby, you made this a memorable trip and we will always be grateful. Back on the ship, we hit the Sushi Lounge, a comedy show, and got some well-deserved rest. After all, we had one more adventure left and it would include a lot of ziplining.